Um, it's National Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. My name is Tony. I am taking a walk every day this month, 3/4 of a mile, in honor of my son, Sam. My son passed away on January 23rd, 2020, just this last year, after a 4-year battle with neuroblastoma. And for the last 6 months of his life, he and I were traveling back and forth to Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center up in New York City. And the distance from the Ronald McDonald House where we would stay to Memorial Sloan Kettering, where we would walk every day, rain or shine, to get his treatments, and back, is 3/4 of a mile. So I've put these in my calendar every day so I can't accidentally book something over the top, and I call it Walking with Sam. I don't know, that felt right. So I decided I'd go a little lighter side for y'all today. We've had some heavy conversations lately, which, how are you not going to, right? Today I'm going to talk about food. I love food, and Sam, in that regard, was a chip off the old block. It was interesting, as we went through our 4-year fight, so much revolved around food for Sam. And I think that a lot of that was because when you think about a normal child, right? A normal kid doesn't have a whole lot of control over most of the things in their life. They're told when to get up. They're told what to wear. We gain that as we go, the responsibility and the independence. And then you have, the one thing that most kids have growing up is they have like control over their own body and what they do with their body. Right? We all have this. We give our kids at least this space. We have the talks with them about, this is your body and this is your space. But when you talk about a kid fighting pediatric cancer, even that space is no longer theirs to control, right? They have no control over anything, really, except, in some cases, what they put in their mouth. And I think that for Sam, what he ate was a lot of things. It was sometimes a celebration, and sometimes it was like his last stand. It was, this is something I can control, and so I'm going to control it. And he would. And we're blessed with all my kids have been good eaters, adventurous eaters, I guess is what you would call them. Thank God. But so I remember, I'll share some stories because that's more fun than me babbling. One of the things when we talk about food and Sam and his fight that sticks out to me was, when you go through stem cell transplant, we talked a little bit about this earlier. Sam went through a stem cell rescue, as part of his therapies. And what this is they give the kid what would amount to a lethal dose of chemotherapy drugs. It wipes out, the goal obviously being wipe out as much cancer as possible, but it also wipes out the kid's bone marrow so that they can't produce new blood cells. And then they inject the kids with their own stem cells that they harvested earlier, kickstarts the production of blood cells again. And so you kind of skirt around that, right? When you go through that, there's a book like this thick on how to be a stem cell patient and how to care for a kid who's a stem cell patient. And one of the things is, after your treatment, because you have zero immune system, like zero, one of the things was you can't eat certain things. All right, it reminded me a lot of the diet that pregnant women are on to avoid bacteria and other things, right? So we went through, and I'll tell you, the thing that drove him crazy about that was that he couldn't eat mussels. Sam and his sister Emmy loved mussels. And I remember we were sitting in a doctor's office in Fort Worth, because that's where we had the stem cell stuff, and so we had all our checkups over there. And the doctor asked us, any other questions? And Sam kind of tugged on my arm. Usually he would ask, like he was not afraid to ask his own questions, but this time he tugs on my arm, and I lean over and he whispers in my ear, ask her about the mussels. And so I had to ask the doctor, when are we clear to eat mussels? And she said, you know what? I think you're there. So we went home and we had just a giant bowl of mussels, and we have pictures and celebration of that. It was a big deal. Food is celebration for us. I think food was also an easy way for us to kind of set routine. Anybody who followed our journey on the Facebook group when Sam and I went to New York, we had a routine when we got there. We always took the first flight out of Dallas early in the morning, which was early. But we'd be in New York, checked into the Ronald McDonald House, and bags unpacked by noon, by lunchtime. And the very first thing we did was walk around the corner every single time to Delicia 73 and get pizza. And there are a bunch of pictures. You could tell it was a travel day on the Facebook page because there's a picture of Sam eating his pizza. And it's a slice the size of his head. Sam, I think it was like New Year's Eve of 2018. No, 2019. We were at the neighbor's house and playing, and Sam was like leaning over this big wooden toy chest, and one of the kids went to get a toy out of it, and they caught Sam with the lid right here and knocked his teeth together. And fast forward a few months later, it turned out that his front two teeth had been impacted by that, and they had to pull them. So for about the last year of his life, about the last year of his life, Sam did not have two front teeth because his other teeth weren't growing in yet, and that's also one of the side effects of some of the radiation that he had, is the possibility that they weren't going to. We never found out. But anyway, all those pictures are of him trying to eat a piece of pizza with no front teeth. Next time you have a slice, see what you can do about not using those teeth to try to eat a piece of pizza. Every once in a while, you know, the food would give us like a fun surprise too. I remember we accidentally just stumbled upon the Feast of San Gennaro when we were in New York, and it was an Italian festival, and I don't think I'll ever forget the face that he made when he ate the gelato that we had there. And you know, some of it was company. My parents were in town. Some of it was the place, right? But like it ties back to memory. Food it was also a fight sometimes. You know, we were really lucky in our fight in a lot of ways. A lot of you guys have heard me say this before, that when it comes to doing this, with the one big exception, we really got off easy in a lot of ways. A lot of these kids, when they go through these treatments, lose their appetite or lose the ability to keep food down. And so they have to get a G-tube, which is like a feeding tube. We never did. Sam was pretty adamant. He would do what had to be done, but if it didn't have to be done, he would work hard to avoid it. So from the very beginning, when the first G-tube conversation came up, he told us that he was gonna eat. He wouldn't do that. He would find a way to eat. And he did, all the way through. I remember when we were in Cook Children's in Fort Worth, he discovered the crispy chicken on maybe day 2 of 24 or 26 or something. I'm pretty sure he ate crispy chicken 18 of those days. That was his go-to. But it was fun to have experiences with him as we went, where we could try new things too. Sam discovered chili dogs in the cafeteria at Medical City Hospital. So, when I think about it, so many of the new things that he got to experience were in a hospital. And that sucks. A lot. But, what are you gonna do? Sometimes lunch and other meals were about the company that we kept. I can remember some of our nurses coming down to eat lunch with Sam and I when we were outpatient. So it was interesting. So, a lot of times when Sam was in the hospital, he was still pretty mobile. I've told y'all before, he's a quick recoverer most of the time. And so, he'd be running down the hallway hooked up to all these tubes and everything, and I'd be pushing the IV pole trying to keep up so that the tubes don't stretch and pull on him. But we would get our little blue card and we would go down and we would eat at the cafeteria. Rodrigo, the cafeteria manager, was always so happy to see us when we were down there. And the times when I had to go down because Sam couldn't and grab something, he would always ask how he's doing. And sometimes we'd have clinic appointments, but we'd eat lunch in the cafeteria so we could have lunch with our nurses, even though we weren't in the hospital that day because the clinic is in the same building. We made so many new friends. People that are hopefully going to be a part of our life for forever. Sorry, just had one of those. Every once in a while, I get those pangs of, I say something about the rest of our life or so many years and whatnot, and I get this pang of pain because he's not included in that. He's not there anymore. He's the whole reason that we know these amazing people, and he doesn't get to be a part of that relationship anymore. And that sucks. Cancer sucks. All of it does. Pediatric cancer sucks harder. It's worse. These kids. Yeah. I had a post. We've got a lot of thank you posts, by the way, guys, and a lot of people like what we're doing, and I appreciate that. Thank you. I can't do it. I can't do any more, so I'm doing this. But I had a post the other day. For obvious reasons, this has been shared around a lot of the groups for cancer parents. And there was a post from a mom who is she's the mother of a cancer survivor. And she thanked me, but she also let us know that even though her son survived his childhood cancer, he is now facing terminal side effects from the treatment. The medicine that saved his life, well, it's killing him. And so that's why we're doing this walk, by the way. If you guys haven't seen some of our other videos, I feel like I probably ran out of great content on day 3, so sorry. But you know, we're doing this because I'm not trying to eradicate childhood cancer. I'm just, you know, I'm a guy in Dallas with a selfie stick. I don't have that power. But what I think I can do is raise awareness and funds for great organizations. Right now we're raising money for Alex's Lemonade Stand. There's a link in the description for all of these videos to our page that we're doing fundraising for. And thank you for that, by the way. We set a goal of $1,000 for the month of September. And I looked last night, we're above 6,000, guys. So that's amazing. I really appreciate that. We're on the leaderboard for cancer families in the top 10. So thank you for that. What I think we can do is I think we can raise awareness and funds so that at some point the treatments for this, while they may never save everyone, maybe we can get them to a point where they're not killing them, to where the cost of curing cancer is not death later down the line because of drug-related side effects. When we sat down with our doctors originally, I talked about the side effects of all these different things before we put them in Sam's body. They went down the list. We talked about the list. There's lists for radiation, there's lists for treatments, there's lists for everything. The one that sticks out into my mind was they warned us that there were pretty good odds that Sam would be impotent when he was an adult because of the cancer treatments that he had to take. And that one stuck with me, mostly because I think we kind of said, well, you know what? We'll handle that obstacle when we get there and he's an adult. But what I think, let's see if we can raise funds over the years to make the drugs a little safer. Let's work with these organizations that lighten the load a little bit for the families. Those have always been the organizations that are really close to my heart, are the ones that I know there needs to be cancer research to do the medicine side of this. But I think those organizations that are helping the families on the front lines, Alex's Lemonade Stand does research grants and helps on the front lines. Oh my God, Candlelighters New York City and Barbara Zobian, amazing. I'm going to talk about all of these organizations, guys. And I will encourage you, any organization you hear me mention, go look them up, see what they're doing. If it resonates with you, send them money. If you don't have money, find a way to get someone else to send them some money, right? I mean, that's pretty much what I'm doing. If I had bottomless pockets, I wouldn't be walking out here, I don't think. Maybe. I don't know. There's never enough, right? But, I don't have bottomless pockets. So I'm asking everybody else to help these places, these organizations. Hope Kids is another neat organization. They were members of the North Texas chapter. These all three of those have some focus on just helping the kids and the siblings and the families have some sense of normalcy in what's going on, because you have to force it. You have to force normalcy, because you don't just chance across it in your cancer fight. Even the times where you're not in hospital, not undergoing treatment, not in pain, not holding your kid because they're sick and hurting. Even those times, you're either prepping or you are worrying. Oh, maybe you're waiting for scan results. That's the worst. They have a name for this. It's so bad. Scanxiety. It's terrible. Or if you're not doing any of those negative things, you're just loving on your family so hard that it's not normal. Take some time, guys. Share the videos. I really appreciate you. Those of you who could stop by on a Sunday and walk with me in the middle of a 3-day weekend. Click the link, share the link. We are, 20% of the way there now, right? Today was the 6th. So, as always, if you have any questions or want to know more about our fight, why we're walking, any of the organizations, I'm an open book, and it'll make the walks more interesting for everybody else too. So thank you guys for your support.